up, so if we could all rise to the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Rise to pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the
Allegiance
flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna kill my mic.
Hey, everybody. I hope you're all well. Eric, hi there. Didn't say hi to you yet. Let's go over to back and forth to the agenda. Julie, do you have any, did we have any questions for the board in the public commentary that we have here? Oh, public commentary following each topic. Okay.
You muted, Julie. You muted.
There's nothing in right now. I just checked it while we were doing the pledge, but there's nothing in right now. But I'll continue to check it while we're speaking.
Okay. Are we having a BBS update?
Yes.
Is Jim going to be here?
Jim waiting. Did he get the email, Mike? You're muted, Mike.
John said he sent them an email.
Yeah, I sent them both of
Can you
those.
check with him, please?
Yep.
Do we want to go ahead with the something else on the agenda then while we're waiting for Jim?
The COVID report would be a little long, so want to go to something.
You know what? Why don't we talk about the flooring? Or do we want to wait until the after the BBS update for that? Actually,
The BBS is going to talk about it, but if you want me to.
okay. Well, how about we talk about registration and current enrollment then?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure, I'm ready to go.
You want to talk about registration and any new entrances? There was a lot of chatter in the newspaper.
Yeah, so, hold on. What just happened? Can you hear me or no?
Yes.
Okay, so registration is up where we have been up online. Everything is on our website. Everyone can email emalins@springschool.org. They can start registration online and then download the paperwork and as well as proof of residency and email that all in. So registration is going on and happening. We're keeping track of students who have moved out, and we have about 20 students who will be moving come the end of the semester. Updated right off the press. Pre-K, we are up to 29 with 2 pending, so that could be 31. Kindergarten, we have a possible of 83 students right now if everyone finishes their registration. We're reached out to Bridgehampton Head Start, the country school, and we've had a few new parents from 2 from the city who also registered their students. So that is, we knew it was going to be a big class, this kindergarten group. So it is proving us correct right now. So we'll watch that closely because if all of the registration goes through, we could be right now at 83 and it's only June 1st. Otherwise, in all of the other grades for next year, we have 4 new students. 2 we knew about that were coming and 2 are brand new that we just found out about this week, or the end of last week, I should say. So that is registration.
And John, did Jim Radick join us?
Yes, he's here.
Okay, great. Hi, Jim.
Hello. Hello.
Hey, Jim.
Thank you. I don't know how to screen share with this thing, but I know we got the PowerPoint from
John, can you
Derek.
put the PowerPoint up?
Yep.
John will do it for you, Jim.
Gotcha.
Should be there now.
Eh, does everybody else see that screen, right?
Yes.
Season, okay. All right, so the phase 2 work is pretty much started. Contracts, some are being worked out and finalized. So we're gonna, go through kind of where we're at with getting the contractors on board and getting things started. So as we go through the presentation, there'll be, a little bit of discussion as to where things are going to be starting at, and some, I guess, progress photos as well.
Just let me know when you want to move ahead.
Okay, so I guess this is just the introductions. You get next slide. All right, so the first thing that the contractors will start to do is within the staged area that was set up on the phase 1, contractors will start bringing in trailers and setting up their areas for, conducting the work for the building additions. So they'll be, running some temporary utilities, installing their sanitary temporary toilets and things, and grading out the area for bringing any equipment they need to drop off. The site was surveyed for the areas that need to be excavated for the footings and foundations. So that's a good way to know where things are going. We had to make some slight adjustments to the footings themselves. It was a little bit of a some of the building additions weren't square as we had drawn them, assuming everything was 90 degrees to one another. But as there's been a series of additions out there over time, some of those additions aren't quite as square as we thought they were. So that caused a little bit of a dimensional problem that we were able to resolve, and we're okay now without any major problems or issues. But it was good that the survey was able to show that, and we were able to make the adjustments. So since that's been taken care of, we'll, moving on to get ready to start the excavation for the footings. So that'll be, big equipment getting into that staging area, digging out the areas that'll define the footprint of the building, and they'll start setting up formwork, and then that'll followed by some steel reinforcing and then pouring some concrete. So that'll be exciting to start to see that happening. The field is starting to be cleared in the back for the new baseball field and the athletic fields out there. So, with the dry weather we'll be having, have to make sure that they keep down, keep on top of the dust so it doesn't spread all over the place. But the equipment is out there to start that work. The front parking lot where the bus loop is and the parking area, that is work that is going to be commencing now, or has actually started, I believe. They got the fencing area up, and they'll be removing the asphalt in those areas. They want to have that work, I think, done by the end of June. There's an event coming up, right, Ms. Deb?
Yes, graduation.
Graduation. So, yeah, with that work happening now, that should make that whole front area look really presentable. The contractors will also be starting on the asbestos abatement within the building. A few areas where we need to remove some tile and caulking on the windows and some lead abatement, and that'll all be happening once the building has been made secure for that work to start. Go to the next slide. So this is just some of the work that is started in the classrooms where they're removing the existing lighting fixtures so that we can install the new ceiling in these classrooms. So this is good. The lighting being removed in a systematic manner, because these fixtures were once retrofitted not too long ago to become LED lights, so they'll be reused. So when the contractor takes these down, he's going to store them, get them ready, so when the ceiling is reinstalled, they'll be back up in place and ready for use. You can go to the next slide. This is the front of the building where the bus loop is and the parking area over to the side. So they're safing off the area so that they can get in with their heavy equipment and start removing that asphalt and some of that curbing and get base material down, get that compacted and rolled out, and then they'll move right on to the paving part of it. So that's exciting to see that work happening. And this is one of those things that was able to happen ahead of the anticipated schedule because school is out and no one's utilizing that parking lot. So it's good that they can get in there and do that. Some of the big excavating equipment is on site. They're putting in some of their sanitary lines and drain lines for in the area of the building. So now we know where our footings are going to be, and some of the piping that's got to go in has to intercept some of those footings. So we've been working with contractors to resolve our areas where we need to, maybe drop a footing a couple inches to make sure that pipe comes through at the right elevation and isn't being, crushed on by the footings. So we've been back and forth with contractors on some of those things, with the plumber anyway. The soil out there, we had the borings done, so where we're digging down to, it doesn't really have to go down too far because we're actually bringing in a lot of material. So you won't see these very deep, massive cuts like we did for the sanitary system. In this area where the building is going is actually in a lot of fill to bring the elevations up to the finished floor. Next slide. This is just an overall shot showing the area of the staging where contractors have dropped off their trailers, and they'll be setting those up so that they can use those spaces to, keep track of the work progress, a place for their workers to, have meetings and things. So that's good to see that that's out there and getting ready to go. They're starting to bring in some fill material. Like I said, the building is going to be up about 2 feet from, grade from where it is now, or 1.5 feet. So there'll be a lot of material that'll be brought in. Plus the big pile that's there, a lot of that material will be used in the fill needs for this project. Next. I guess there was some interest in Procore. It's a software program that the Park East utilizes to track the construction, the paperwork of construction. It allows the architects, engineers, the school district, contractors, all access to a central location where information is distributed amongst the team. So it's a pretty useful tool. It's sometimes a little frustrating because it's got so much and you don't really know how to utilize it all sometimes, and it gets a little confusing, but
I'm going to need a little tutorial. So at some point, someone's going to have to assist me with that, because I went on and I couldn't figure out how to get to the photos. Where the heck am I? It was very confusing. So
yeah.
I'll need a lesson from someone.
Yeah, they got to come with like a more simplified version because it is quite a powerful tool. But yeah, I think there's some information here that shows you how to get to their support website. And I think it'll pretty much walk you through the basics of how to find those sort of things. So it might be helpful just to try that. And if that doesn't, get you anywhere, then you let us know. And especially Derek, he's very versed in the Procore world. But the things you can see that are accessible, you can see the project directory, which is all the names of the people that are involved, the drawings that have been submitted and are being, the contractors utilizing to build from, the submittals that the contractors are submitting right now for the materials, any of the correspondence that we've been having from contractors with questions and clarifications, that's all in there. Our meeting minutes will be there, other reports. So it's, it's a good depository for all that information. So yeah, initially it'll be a little bit of a new thing to get comfortable with, but once you know the only areas that you need to get into, it'll probably be only a couple of clicks away once you sort that out. So I'm glad that that's being made available. And that's the progress. So things are getting started, and they will continue to progress as we get into June and contractors start to get out on site and do the work that was expected for the upcoming month. So just nice to see that the foundation work is being started. And that we're getting shop drawings submitted and we're reviewing them, as needed. So we're keeping track with all the progress that's being made. Any questions on that?
Great, thanks, Jim. No. I mean, we had been having a discussion about the flooring. I don't know if we want to segue into that now, or if how that pertains to. Does that pertain to drawings and working with what's going on now that that's like an ad alternate and.
Jim, are you familiar with what Derek was working on with the flooring? Originally, there were 2 rooms that had to be abated, and those 2 rooms were ad alternate. Those rooms are not as bad as 2 other rooms that have deteriorated. And Derek was getting prices from other companies because the quote we had from Stalco was high. And the email I received today said about a $10,000 savings between abatement and new flooring.
Right. So he was going to look at that price that he requested from contractors that are currently on site and go back to Stalco and see if they could, match that price or at least get as close as they could to that. Being that they're out there, it might, make sense for them to, come down on their number and get that work done. The 2 areas that were bid are essentially the same as the 2 other areas that you're looking at. So square footage wise, there's no difference. It's in the same vicinity of the building, so it's not on complete opposite ends of the building where they got, work that's separated. So, I think the only thing we wait to find out is if Stalco gets a chance to give us the best and final number on that work.
Okay, I thought they had come back and said the best that they could do was, $2,000 in their original bid.
Oh, okay. They may have done that. I didn't.
Yeah, that's what Derek had said earlier today, that they came back with a number that was their best.
Okay. So in that case, moving forward with a, separate contractor is, not a problem. Just need to figure out how we, formalize that so that they can get in there while this abatement is going on and, get that work done at the same time.
Jim, if we need a special meeting just to do that, would you please let us know? And, I'm sure we'll gather the board together to do that resolution. So Mike, we'll have to work with Antonia on that.
Yep, okay. No worries.
Any other questions for Jim while we have him? I mean, they're really moving all over the building. They put up a temporary wall today to lock down the junior high so that our custodians can continue to work in that area. So we have our custodians doing summer work while construction's going on. The SYA is where the administration will be while this is going on, but we still have access. We found a back door through the music room. So if we need to get files out of our office, we can. The only one that's really displaced right now is Eric and Mike, because the construction across the way from the nurse's office is being done in that hallway. So
if Jim can make all this happen, we'll get him another medal to hang behind him.
what are the medals for, Jim?
All road races, running races and stuff.
See, we learned something about you.
Is there a date for starting to dig the footings for sort of like the real official building start?
I think that some work has started. The preliminary, someone getting that piping in is all in conjunction with the footing work as well. So, like a technical groundbreaking has kind of started. I don't know if there's going to be any really, I guess isn't the time to be doing any real ceremony stuff, unfortunately, but we're kind of at that point where I think next week will be a full week of excavation and that sort of thing taking place.
Okay, cool. No.
What's nice about Procore is I won't have to keep sending you pictures. You'll be able to look on to the pictures yourself. I don't know if I can hold this. Go ahead, Pat.
Any update on the coronavirus with the construction? How's it holding us up at all? I know we got
No.
that started on joint construction.
No, they have to have new requirements. So one of the things that they had to do was to bring in the hand sanitizers for them to wash their hands. So they needed access to water. So
And who
they did
monitors-
that. They had to have procedures in place. They did
Who's
a lot more
monitoring?
contractors, right, Jim?
Yeah, they have a procedure. Stalco had a pretty lengthy list of things that they were implementing, I guess, before they even got out here, that they shared with the other contractors, and everybody else bought into that list of things that needed to be done to protect all the workers on site, not just the Stalco employees, but the plumber, the mechanical contract, electricians. They're all, I guess, working from that same procedural document that Stalco had issued. And it's all stuff based on what OSHA had prescribed to contractors, a month ago.
And it's being overseen by. Just make sure.
I guess Part East is the group on site. Jim Cullen being the one out there day to day. He's, I guess, bringing attention to people if they're not following that procedure. I don't know that if OSHA's ever going to come out and do a spot check to see how things are going. It's a possibility. They're able to come on any site that they would like. So they have they know the project is active since we had to submit wage rates through the Department of Labor. And once the contractors start, getting mobilized to go, the Labor Department knows that work is underway.
And just so you guys know, we ordered signs for the doors. So it will identify the door where Jim Cullen is, that's the construction entrance site. And the door where we are is the business office for Spring School. And the construction sign will have Jim Cullen's cell phone number on it. So the person outside the door has to call Jim Cullen's cell phone in order to get access to the trailer. So it's just not an open access area.
I just want this being a very public building going on in the community of Springs, that all procedures are followed to the letter. I don't want us to be, by the public, see us not following the law to the letter. That's all I'm asking.
Agreed. Yeah, I think initially everyone's putting their best foot forward on that, and everybody's aware that everybody's keeping a close eye on it. I think the real chore is going to be a month down the road when people starting to get lax. I think that's when it's really going to be enforced and reminded everybody every job meeting that we have. We've had 2 so far, and it's brought up as an item, a topic, to maintain those, what the way things need to be maintained on site to comply with those COVID regulations.
Thanks, Jim. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody have any other questions for Jim? Okay. Well, we certainly look forward to your next report then, and hearing how things are coming along. So thanks so much for joining us this evening. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Sorry it was late.
That's all right. No problem. Take care.
All right.
Deb, if we want to move on.
I do want to move on. We have a special recognition. Barbara doesn't remember taking any coursework, but you must have signed on because you received a certificate for 150 hours through New York State School Board. So congratulations.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Maybe that's something with the board president form thing that I signed up for. Or, okay, there we go. Thank you.
They log all your hours, Barbara. So congratulations, and we have a certificate for you.
No, thank you very much.
You want me to go back to the COVID update?
Hey, Deb,
Yeah.
I have an email from Jennifer Brussel in regard to the registration number. Is this the appropriate time to read that?
Carrie, the registration, what is she asking for, the number of students?
She said, "Hi, Julie. In regards to registration, 83 is a big number. How many students roughly are in each kindergarten class now? Thank you, Jen Brussel.
21. If all 83 register, there'll be 21 to a class, but remember, we also have a TA in all those classrooms.
How many were in last year's class? Dan?
In the classroom. Excuse me, Pat?
No, I didn't hear you. How many were in last year's class? Kindergarten class. How big was the class last year?
I don't know. What do we have this year, Eric?
Right.
This year, that's what I mean.
Yeah, this year.
I believe we're at 71, but I'm going to give you that information right now. If you give me 1 second, Pat, I will give
Thank
you the enrollment information that we sent you guys last.
I know we have it. I can't get the board doc.
I got it. I'll pull it up here right now, Pat. Right now, we are currently at, just waiting for it to pull up. Give me 1 second. The current kindergarten section now has 68 as of today.
This on 15,
Yes,
if that's possible.
you have 60
Okay.
as of today, correct.
Remember, this is your large pre-K program.
Right. That's why you had the fourth pre-K, fourth kindergarten, correct?
Yes.
Thank you.
Barbie, you want me to do the COVID report?
Sorry. Yes, please.
God bless you.
I want to acknowledge, first off, how amazing our Springs community is. Our STA Teachers Bargaining Unit just donated $4,000 to the Springs Food Pantry. Our students also benefited from some art supplies. K-5 students last Wednesday, thanks to Colleen McGowan, Kate Rabinowitz, and the Anna Linton Foundation. Our bus drivers, some of our monitors, myself, delivered art supplies to our students in grades K-5, and they went a long way. The kids were happy to get them, and the children that, for some reason, we missed them, their parents were able to call, and either we dropped them off or they picked up the art supplies. So again, thank you to that organization. Our inclusion team in the 4th grade, Mrs. Knight and Mrs. Dunham, wrote a grant to the Greater East Hampton Education Foundation, and they delivered care packages to their students, which included lots of books. So again, our community coming together and helping our students and our teachers. So I really appreciate that. Our governor, in his latest order, has closed schools for the summer, as you know. Springs provides extended school year for students with disabilities who experience potential regression, with 3 hours of instruction a day, including related services, for 6 weeks. The E&L program, English as a New Language program, is supported by our ESSA funding and also provides 3 hours a day, 6 weeks. We're waiting for actual orders and guidance documents right now, but it was announced last week that the district would go ahead with a remote learning program. We have posted the positions and we'll be making recommendations at the June 15th meeting for you to provide these services through the summer. And from what Kerry tells me, we have many staff members that have stepped up to work the summer program. I did receive last-minute guidance from our attorneys that those staff members that used to work in the summer are not guaranteed summer hours. It is by need. So we have a couple of bus monitors that won't be working, a couple of bus drivers that won't be working. We need to get our notices out that they'll be gainfully employed for September. So these are 10-month employees who, yes, they may count on summer work, but it's not guaranteed. So therefore, we do not have to pay them through the summer. So that just came across my phone just recently, as late as like 5:30. Tonight, as part of our agenda, we're discussing the end of the school year. Similar to our colleagues in Montauk and East Hampton, trying to figure out a way to compensate our staff and give our students a much needed break. So spring school has met the state's obligation for 180 school days. Our teacher contract is a little different. It's 181 days that they're required to work. Our students and our teachers work through April break. The general for tonight, for your general meeting, is a resolution where I'm recommending that we close schools effective the 18th for both students and staff. And that's consistent with East Hampton and Montauk. So if anybody has any questions about that, it does have to be by resolution because you created the first calendar by resolution. So you need to, if you're in agreement with the change, they would be leaving school a week early.
And so we would adopt that at the next meeting, you're saying?
No, tonight I have that as an attachment for a general meeting. I know you don't like to do anything in a work session, so we made it a separate meeting. You'll come out of this and go into that. But we need to do that so that we can get the information up to the state as well. I think the 15th would be just too late of a notice to everybody. Mr. Cassell wants to get something out to the parents. Teachers want to do closing programs with their students, you know, pre-K, kindergarten. So we prefer to have the board vote on that tonight. Okay. The governor's executive order 202.26 was all concerning the annual budget vote and election, requiring all voting to be done by absentee ballot. Julie, Mike, Linda, under Mike's direction, did an incredible job. 4,500 ballots went out in the mail. We were one of the first districts on the East End. School budget voting has never been done like this before. Districts had on hand enough supplies for a normal absentee ballots. For Springs, that number in general is about 60 absentee ballots that we send out every year. But not one district had supplies for the increased numbers, so they had to be ordered. Again, thanks to Julie and Mike working on the weekend, those supplies were literally on our doorstep when they came to work that following Monday. Montauk Printing has been working around the clock to get everything printed and in the mail, including envelopes. Your envelopes were clearly marked and they were printed by Montauk. The Postal Service actually held a Zoom meeting to meet with all superintendents to tell us the various options that we had to mail these ballots. We could have sent them bulk mail. We could have paid for a special first-class mailing kind of ballot, or we could send them through our own postal meter, and that's what we chose to do. They are first class, but we ran them through our own meter. We ran both ballots and the return ballots. The Springs mail, as you might notice, goes to Melville, where it's sorted by machines by route. If they stayed in Springs or East Hampton, they would have to do that by hand. So that's why your mail always goes up island and it comes back by route. We had to give ourselves enough time to allow that to happen. We ordered supplies immediately, and following the Board of Ed adoption of the budget on May 12th, ballots were in the mail by that following Wednesday. I want to thank Montauk Printing. Kate and Mike have been like incredible. And the postal workers have been incredible. Julie and company dropped off those ballots on a Saturday morning, and we're very happy at the way they were organized and clearly marked. So that helped the post office, but they helped us too. The district acquired a file from the Board of Elections, and we printed the labels from that file. If you were a registered voter or voted in a prior school budget vote, you received a ballot or should have received a ballot. We were told we could not alter the labels in any way. For example, there was a label with a Springs address, but the city and town stated, the city and state stated New York, New York, and had a New York zip code. So we know that that was not going to make it to Springs Fireplace Road. It was going to get lost someplace. We realized some individuals have been deceased. Remember, we were stuffing these envelopes ourselves so we could see the labels. A large number of the ballots were returned with no receptacle. I saw that today with myself. There were over 110 ballots that were returned today, about 110 ballots that were good that came back. We learned that individuals registered with a physical address but get their mail through a P.O. box, which is me in Quogue, would not receive a ballot. They can't deliver to a physical address. Post offices are not required to figure out what is your P.O. box. So guess what? They get returned.
Wait, so why can't an absentee ballot go to someone's post office box?
If, on my license, you register to vote through the DMV most of the time. So my license has my physical address on it. My post office, they're overwhelmed, they're inundated, cannot decide what PO box that letter should go to. So they stamp it and return it to the sender.
Gotcha.
There are a lot of community members in that situation in Springs that have a PO box, but they've registered to vote using their physical address. That's the address that was on the file.
Deb, and another thing too that we've come across is I've had a couple of phone calls for Springs residents that are saying they're not getting their ballots. But when I go on to the Board of Elections, onto the actual active roll, they're inactive. So unless a Springs resident makes themselves active, we can't send them a ballot. But we called the Board of Elections and they verified the address where the person lived, and they said it was up to the district, and we made a decision to, yes, give them a ballot because they do live here. But I think it's really important that people update their information because this is how they're going to get their ballots. If they have the wrong city, the wrong state, the wrong zip, or they don't actually update their information, they become inactive, and then we can't send them a ballot. And the Board of Elections has directed us in that way.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I believe,
all these returned ballots, if somebody wanted to get in touch with the school, if they showed up and provided identification, we would be able to hand them the return ballot. Is that correct?
Yeah, yes. I've actually responded to somebody who called on the phone, and I responded to them and told them to email me, and we would make arrangements to get them a ballot because I verified their information through the Board of Elections. So as long as I can verify the information and it's correct, and the Board of Elections takes our call right away, then I can give them the ballot. Either they can pick it up outside of the office, or I can mail it to them. But we are taking phone calls and emails and trying to accommodate everybody that calls us.
It sounds like this is something that should possibly be in the local paper, because I'm sure a lot of people who normally go vote in person have post office boxes, and they might not have a receptacle at their house, and they're going to be in this pickle, not just here in Springs, but in, our other towns as well. And could the press maybe
I can call.
know that?
Yeah, actually, there on my district clerk serve, there are district clerks saying that they're getting back as many returned envelopes as they are active envelopes because of the whole address situation.
If Christine is on here, maybe she heard us and she can put something out in the press. She's usually on our meetings, but I will reach out to her tomorrow and make sure that she puts something in the paper on that. Last year, 400 Springs residents actually voted in the school budget and Board of Ed elections. As of Friday, we had over 400 ballots. Today, it's probably 500 return ballots. There was a concern about return ballots having enough postage. Although current postage for a first-class stamp is 55 cents, the district receives a discount because we are a municipality. Each return ballot is run through the district stamp machine. 50 cents is the appropriate postage. Another question was raised regarding the signing of the envelopes and confidentiality. The signature is required by the Board of Elections. These signatures will be checked against the Board of Elections book, similar to when you come in to vote in person and you sign your name. The ballots will be put aside after each is removed from the envelope and separated, with no knowledge of us knowing how an individual voted. We plan to live stream the opening of the ballots on June 9th, starting at 5 p.m. We also sent the school budget and election notices out. But remember, the budget was not adopted until May 12th. So by May 15th, we started to put things in the mail. The newsletter went out bulk mail. The ballots went out first class mail because we wanted to ensure that everybody got their ballots. The newsletter was on the website as soon as it was ready. In fact, when everything went to the printers, that's when John gets the documents to put on the website. The 6-day postcard is at the printers right now and will be mailed before Wednesday, the latest. And that's when it's due. It has to be in the mail by then. We did send a tax report card, which was criticized for the font being very small, unable to read without your glasses or a magnifying glass. And I agree, but we had to put both English and Spanish on a postcard. That postcard really did not even have to go out to the voters. We learned we had to post it on the state aid website so that a voter could go to the state aid website and see the tax report card. I apologize to Pat because Montauk Printing used an old Board of Ed list on the outside of that postcard. And there was a spelling error. That template comes right from the board, from the state education department. No excuse for not seeing it. But if anybody goes onto the state aid planning website, all these templates are going to be the same because you have to follow that format. But we do apologize. The next notice, as I said, will be the 6-day notice. We have blown that up. It's a full-size sheet of paper, both sides, English and Spanish. And then it's folded, and then another plain white piece of paper on top of that with the patron postage on there, and that will go out in the mail. As I said, it should be out before Wednesday.
And it's posted on our website already.
Yes, if you will go down to the budget icon on the bottom, not one of the big screens, but on the bottom, it shows how you can, it shows all of our notices that went out.
Maybe if that tax report card, it's not mandatory to send it, perhaps mentioning it in the budget newsletter or one of the other mailings that it's available on the school's website and on the state site would be a better option, that since it has so much information on it, than doing an additional mailing, because there's suddenly a lot of mailings going out.
Well, that was the other issue, Barbara, is these notices were meant to go along with in-person voting. The notices make no sense for absentee ballot voting. They were coming out together. They were coming out afterwards. In some districts, they weren't sending them out at all because they had their hands full, like a Sachem with sending out 50 ballots. So they were posting everything. Whether that's permitted or not, we don't know, but we were trying to follow the letter of the law by sending everything out and working with Montauk Printing to get everything out in the mail as soon as possible. It was an incredible feat that no district has ever done before. The ballots have to be returned by 5 p.m. on June 9th. We will have somebody at the post office at 5 p.m. to pick up everything that was sent and processed that day. The other thing we got to remember too is, people will say, well, if you knew that this was coming, and couldn't you move things up a little bit? I just want to remind our community that April 1st, the governor did his budget, but from April 1st on, he was threatening to cut state aid. As of your board adoption, we still did not know what our state aid looked like. So we made an estimated guess, took 20% off of our budget, put in some COVID money because we still don't know what the COVID spending is going to be like for September if we open. So we had a lot of unknowns going in this budget process. So if we could have had things out earlier, we certainly would have. It wasn't for our lack of wanting to get notices out earlier. It was that we were trying to wait to have enough information to give to the board so you could make your adoption, and enough information for our community in their voting. We didn't want them voting on things that, we weren't uncertain of, but it ended up, we still don't have our state aid run, correct, Mike? There has been no new revised state aid?
Correct. Nothing new revised at this point. The other thing I want to say is all of the information that we've sent out in various forms is probably more than a lot of the districts up island have sent out. I mean, my own district here, I still don't have nearly what we've put together for our district.
The newsletter is something that wasn't required, but how do you promote your district without a newsletter? So we made a decision that it was very important to send that newsletter out. It had a lot of information in it. It had all the propositions in it. None of these other notices really lend itself to these propositions. So I think that was really important that that newsletter went out. We're waiting for guidance from state ed and the governor regarding September opening. We've been told to expect the guidance by June. SED has indicated that the districts will have to develop plans, and I say plural, on reopening and submit them by July. We anticipate we will actually be developing several plans. If we stay on distance learning, number one. Two, if we return to school. And three, if we return to school and then we must close. Again, there are many unknowns. The CDC guidelines make me very apprehensive on who can possibly open to ensure children do not mingle and stay 6 feet apart and wear a mask for 7 hours a day. These are some of the guidelines out there currently. I think of a bus. We are told that we have only a third of the capacity on a bus that holds 66 students. That means we can only transport 22 students on 7 buses. That's like not even a third of our students into school on one route and one time frame. I think we'd have to make almost 3 to make up for that time. How do we provide reading and math support in small groups if you're not allowed to co-mingle during the day? How do you provide regions classes to students who are in other sections? They don't all go to English and social studies together. They may be together for math and science, but now you're looking at keeping this group of students together all day long. And it's good for them, but it's not good for mixing up the classes and having a balance in those other classes. I will be recommending a recovery plan, listing our priorities and timelines as soon as we receive guidance. But in the meantime, the first group to quote recover will be our administrators and our clerical staff. So as soon as businesses are allowed to open, that includes our administration staff. So we need a plan for how we come back, what that looks like, what kind of checks we're doing, health checks we're doing. We're looking for guidance from our attorneys on that. What if a person doesn't want to tell us how they're feeling today? Do we have to push that issue to allow them in the building? We will be using charts to show who entered a space. Think about that in your normal day, how many times you go in and out of a room. Well, if I end up in Eric's space and his space with Mike, I should sign that check sheet because God forbid I get sick the next day, they know where I've been. I mean, we don't function like that. You know, today I was in every room at the SYA. As an entry point, we'd have to do that so that we know who was in that room should somebody get sick. We also have to consider what we at Springs do that's important to us. What are our priorities? Because that might be different than what the state dictates. So balancing state's mandates with what we want to do, very similar to the budget process. We decided to do the newsletter. It wasn't required, but we thought it was important. We'll have to look at instruction, health and safety, our facilities. We're in a whole different ballpark with construction going on. Transportation, we have our own. It's going to be different than a district that uses an outside vendor. Business operations, human resources, athletics, technology. We will need subcommittees under this main group. We'll engage all our stakeholders from our school, our community, our region. We have somebody very local who's working as a tracer. We definitely will want to include Lisa Seth in this committee because she'll have on the ground information about what's going on. We will look at the whole child and look at our faculty. You know, mixing it up, A and B day is something that's been thrown out there. Will that confuse children? What about the parent who has their own children at home? Will they need a steady schedule like the town is on a A-B day? So that means the following week, it's different days of the week that they need to go into work or find childcare. So we're seeing from other businesses what's working and what's not working. Remember, we're also behind a lot of the states who will open up before us. They will open up in August because their school year starts in August. So we'll be able to watch them as well for some information. Please note for the community, especially for the month of June, the administration will be out in the SYA building. For the business office, they will be in the trailer. The best way to reach us during this time is the special email that we've set up, March 2020 at springschool.org. We can access our voicemails remotely, so we're doing that. And due to the age of our phone, we are not able to forward our calls, but we will check our voicemails as well. Continue to follow us on Twitter. John has been doing a tremendous job on our website. You have a screen up there that says for all new information. That's where we'll post all the graduation information, as well as continue to use our Connect Ed system and all our emails. So we will be in touch with everybody.
Hey, Deb, I have an email from Christine Sampson from the Star.
Yes.
She said she's listening to the meeting live right now. She's going to make sure she puts something up regarding the ballot information.
Tell her thank you. I had a funny feeling she was listening.
Is that actually, in terms of our budget voting, is this going to be the same kind of issue then for if we have to vote by absentee ballot in November, or for any other, I mean, that people would not actually be getting them?
Yes.
That they couldn't go to the post office box if they're registered at a street address.
Yes.
And so people will need to be prepared for having a box at their house or something, right?
Or go into the Board of Elections and change your address. My old license, Barbara, I pulled it out, has the P.O. box on it plus my physical address. So
if it has both, they can send to the,
yeah, okay. So like right now, the East End has been inundated with boxes. Everybody's ordering online. But if you have a different billing address, okay, or you're not using the P.O. box, those boxes are sitting there with your physical address, and the post office doesn't have time to check that it's Deb Winter, at this P.O. box. They're sending them back. They're getting rid of them. When they're slow in the winter months, Quag post office might actually put something in the mailbox for me and say, please advise of your post office box so that, you'll get it in the future. The recommendation from everybody right now is, from the post office, I should say, is make sure that everything that you want to go to your P.O. box, even though they ask for a physical address, has the P.O. box anywhere. It can be after New York. It can be after your name. It can be after your address, but just put that P.O. box number someplace on your address so that it gets delivered to your P.O. box. The post office has been great. It's the first time that we've ever communicated with the post office like this, but I think we're really worried about the volume that they were going to have to deal with. So it was good for them to be proactive with the schools and tell us exactly how they wanted things so that they could be proficient. Any other questions?
I had a couple questions on a couple things. I'm sort of thinking backwards here. So talking about as we go forward and tracing and checking in and stuff like that, that seems really easy to forget about. So is having additional cameras in the school something of a feasibility in terms of if we need to track where people are going? Or are there other issues that brings up in terms of, privacy or whatever?
The cameras in the hallways, Barbara, are great. It's the classrooms that we could never put a camera in. Could be something that we look at. I just thought about today in the spaces I was in. I was in the business office. I was in where Mike and, I was in the bathroom. I mean, there's not that many people there. So the amount of people that would have to be notified wasn't great. But could you imagine a reading teacher that meets with 50 kids in a day and all the classrooms that she touched and all the kids that she touched, you know, you'd have to shut down. That's the advice from the CDC. That's why that plan has to be that if you're told you have to shut down for 2 weeks, you're able to keep learning going and shut down. It does not help parents. It doesn't help with childcare. We've been talking back and forth with Project Most. They are going to have to be included because we don't have time in between to clean those rooms for Project Most to go in there. So then you have that commingling. You have a group of kids that weren't together all day that now go into a classroom that hasn't been cleaned in between. You know, I don't know how you make that work. Project Most has another facility, but then how do you transport 150 kids to that other facility if I'm only allowed to put 22 children on a bus?
Yeah, a lot to figure out. So,
Well,
I mean, it's weird that every district is having to figure out their own plan. I mean, of course, we all do that anyway in terms of curriculum, and everybody has the way they want to do things. But do you anticipate that the state, other than just saying, oh, we need your plans by such and such a date, are they going to give any sort of templates or suggestions or whatever of stuff that they want to see?
I would hope so.
you know, I think, Barbara, also, we have to wait until we get some direction from the state, because no matter what they come down with, if we can sit here and say we're going to do this and do that, but we really have to wait and get some kind of guidance as far as distancing, what that means, and kids on a bus or whatever. I think they're going to be giving those out, but then it's up to us to see how that we can make it work. And that's going to be a tough task for Deborah and Eric and anybody else that's involved in that, is figuring out how to do that in a reasonable way and still meet those state guidelines. But I don't think the state guidelines are going to be as intense as maybe the CDC's right now, but they're going to be close.
Yep. And remember, we're working on classes now. Christine's working on that. If we get told that there is no commingling, but we want to support children, she might be back to the drawing board doing classes very differently based on what those guidelines are. So you're looking at work being done, you know, maybe 2 and 3 times, but we can't not move ahead and do the things that we traditionally have done in the month of June in preparation for September. We do have to, you know, continue to do what we always plan to do and hope for the best. And if we have to do it over again, we'll do it over again.
And the added thing to that is that we are a pre-K through 8th grade school, which makes it even more difficult than, say, if we were just an elementary or a middle or a high school. We have all those grades in one place with different ways of instructing them. And that's going to be a Herculean task, I believe.
And no space.
Yeah.
So we walked the building a little bit today and measured rooms a little bit today. And some of our rooms are not big enough for 2 people, though there's 2 people in it right now. Not big enough for 8 people if there are any social distancing rules. So they become rooms that you can't use, you know, basically. 1 person, 2 people in it. That's the square footage of some of these rooms.
There's where you go for plexiglass between cubicles.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's too early at this point to really think about making set plans to give them. Although I thought you said did they want to get the plans in June, or they're going to be giving out information in June as to what they're looking for?
Information in June, plans by July.
Plans by July. Okay. All right. And then going back to closing school early, I mean, I feel like I'm in such a time warp and I never know what day it is or what's been going on. So when I'm thinking back to April break, I thought the state said we had to use our vacation days first, and our kids took vacation for that time and they weren't working. But I thought you just said that they were working, so that's why we can close early. So can you straighten me out, please?
Yes. What we did is we told our teachers to prepare work for our students and to check in with them. Because remember, we were very worried about other things. So the state required us to make sure children had food and to make sure that parents that were essential workers had childcare. So our staff were working that week. They may not have been providing the same level of instruction because we're all trying to figure it out, but they were making contact with children. They definitely, without a doubt, making contact with children. And that's how we got our list for who needed food. That's how we really hammered to Eleanor Whitmore to do something for childcare, you know, because we weren't in that business, but we knew that people needed childcare. So the problem being is then when April break came up, you couldn't stop. The governor's executive order said, keep going. But then that would have meant we were over the 181 days, and no district can afford to pay their teachers for 5 additional days. So following Montauk and following East Hampton, our teachers will be working up until the 18th with our kids and finding different ways. We're doing the green and white month to try to make up for the lost field days and special events that they would have been having. So again, when you look at a school calendar, that week would have been a lot of those activities that we've come to know and love in Springs. So I don't believe we're missing anything, you know, except for those special events that can't happen due to social distancing.
Right. Okay. Well, there's certainly a lot going on in there on a number of fronts. Yeah. So we will, after we finish this part, you want us to go into a separate meeting so we can approve that resolution. So does anybody else have any questions about the changing of the school calendar? Okay. All right. So then as we're closing the school early, we do still have our graduation, if you want to fill us in on that, which will still be happening at the same original time. There'll just be some space in between end of school and graduation.
Yes. Eric, you want to take graduation?
Sure. Thank you, Board of Ed, for giving us the opportunity and supporting us. I also want to thank the PTA and our teachers who've helped us come up together with a plan. I'm hoping that Deb was able to share that with you. You know, keep in mind that this is going to be a graduation ceremony that's going to look and feel a little bit different than they normally do because of social distancing guidelines. As you know, throughout this whole process, we have maintained regular contact with elected officials, with the Department of Health, with the CDC, SCD, Governor's Office, and so on. So we're going to make sure that we are providing the number one priority is going to be the safety and well-being of our students, families, and staff. So right now, our graduation is tentatively set to be on Thursday, June 25th at 4 p.m. With a rain date of Sunday, June 28th. And why are we picking those days? Because we did not want to interfere with the East Hampton High School graduation, which is Friday for their regular graduation, and then Saturday is their rain date. So we have coordinated with East Hampton High School to make sure that that wouldn't happen. Due to social distancing requirements, like I said, we're going to provide a drive-up type ceremony for our graduates. We will have an opportunity to not only give them their diplomas, but any awards. We're actually going to be combining our award ceremony as well as our graduation ceremony to make sure that kids receive everything at once, so they're not feeling like they've missed out on any of the activities. Thanks to our PTA and to our administration and our 8th grade advisor, we have hired a photographer. There's going to be a photographer. Our PTA president has purchased a backdrop, so we will actually be taking professional pictures of our students as they receive their diplomas, and then we will not only email them to the parents, but we will also post them on our website. Our goal, again, is to do it at Spring School. The reason why we're not doing it at East Hampton, we normally do it at East Hampton because of the auditorium. Since we can't all be inside, we thought it'd be important to have them graduate at Spring School. Also as to not interfere with East Hampton High School ceremonies. So what we will do is we will have a dais type platform set up at the front steps by the main entrance. We will have balloons, we will have flowers, we will have it decorated just like we would the stage at East Hampton High School. And what we'll do is we will have kids come up with their families, about 7 to 10 students every 15 or 20 minutes or so, to come up and collect their diplomas. So similar like we do with bus drop off and car line pickup, in alphabetical order, we'll have the kids come up with their parents, they'll drive up, the parents will stay in the car, obviously for social distancing requirements, and then we will have our kids pick up their diplomas and awards. We're hoping, and we're having further conversation with LTV to have the actual graduation ceremony uploaded and put on their regular schedule. So if you're at the graduation ceremony that night, You will be able to watch graduation at a later time. We're going to do a one-ticket car system, meaning that we're going to have folks, immediate family members, come to the school. They'll have set times on their car ticket. They will provide their car ticket to our staff. We will then line them up, and then that's how they will pick up their diplomas and graduation. East Hampton Town Police Department has already been great. They've already contacted us, told us any support that they need. Our fire department will be there. If anybody wants to do any type of parade or celebrations after the fact, and we're going to have further conversations with our PTA tomorrow, actually, and our 8th grade advisor. We do ask, unfortunately, that parents remain in the car while their children pick up their diplomas. Again, it's social distancing requirements. We are encouraging our students to dress appropriately, to make sure that we, give this type of activity its due diligence. We think it's important. We know it's not ideal. We would definitely prefer a more traditional graduation ceremony, but at this time, that's not available to us. So we've been thinking a little bit outside the box. As you know, last 2 weeks ago, we delivered over 90 signs. The administration went to every 8th grade student's house. We delivered signs. So we're thinking along those lines to try to make it a little bit more personal for each graduations. Our Val and salutatorian will be also giving speeches. They will be posted on the website the day of graduation, so you will still have the opportunity to hear our young scholars speak. We are meeting tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock with our PTA president, PTA executive board, and 8th grade advisor to finalize these plans. My goal is to have this out to the parents by middle of this week, end of this week, in a number of different platforms. Obviously, we will send it out through our Global Connect system, through email, text, but we'll also mail home the information with a map, as well as the car tickets for each parent. So they can get the information well ahead of time before the actual date. Again, if parents need more than a ticket because of certain situations, we will be happy to accommodate that. But again, we want to make sure that the safety and well-being, I can't stress that enough, the safety and well-being of all the students and families and staff that will be there is of the utmost paramount. So we're excited. Again, it's not traditional, but we are excited. We will make it as celebratory as we can. We're looking to start at 4 p.m. on June 25th. And giving everybody the right time. We're looking at about 2.5-hour ceremony, but we think in 2.5 hours will give enough time to congratulate the kids, have them take their pictures with a professional photographer, and then also be able to get some video clips and stuff that LTV will be able to post as part of the celebration activities.
Eric, can you talk a little bit about pre-K and kindergarten?
Sure. Pre-K and kindergarten, we had a conversation with our pre-K and kindergarten teachers, and it was decided that we do something a little bit more personal. So we will actually be visiting all of our pre-K and kindergarten students with the teachers and administration to be giving out diplomas and little gift baggies for the kids. We don't know how we would have a kindergarten group of kids not come out of their cars and want to spend time with us and play with their teachers. So we're going to go home to home, similar like we did with the 8th grade signs, and we'll have an opportunity to visit all the kids in kindergarten and pre-K and celebrate them that way. So we're waiting on the date, probably second or third week in June, where we'll be able to do that with our kindergarten and pre-K teachers. So look for the big buses. We're coming on the big buses to the kindergarten and pre-K homes. And that is pretty much our plan for graduation. If anybody has any questions.
No, Eric, I was just talking about Deb. I have a recommendation. You know, we have the bulletin board out front of the school.
Yes.
And we have the plaque there with all the graduates on it. Can we put a congratulations to the class of 2020 on that? So parents want to take photo ops in front of that sign prior to graduation day?
Absolutely.
Yeah, we posted the banner. I don't know if you saw it, Pat. There's a banner.
I was thinking about it. And the bulletin board's out. The other part is outside the fence line. So that's what I'm saying. If someone wants to do a photo op, we just put congratulate the class of 2020. We're going to do it prior to graduation.
Yeah,
right, not as part of that.
We'll take the blood stuff down and put graduation. Congratulations.
Eric, I have a question about the graduation, just the time element. You're talking about 2.5 hours to do this. It sounds like you're asking families to come and and bring their graduate up to go through the process, and then they'll get back in their car and they'll leave?
Correct. So they're not going to be there for the 2.5 hours. And what we'll
Okay,
do-
good. I just want to make sure that they weren't sitting there.
No, it'll be time slots. So for example,
Right.
this group of kids will go from 5 o'clock to 5:20, let's say. So what we'll do is we'll line those cars up, and then we'll use, because we're hoping, we were assured that the front will be completely redone. So it'll be the new parking lot. We can stage cars for the next group in the parking area. We can bring the 7 cars. We've measured it. We can fit 12 cars, but we thought 7 to 10 cars would be more than enough. Parents will drive up to this dais platform that we'll create. The kids will get out. We'll give them their diplomas. We'll give them their awards. We'll congratulate them. They will take a picture under the beautiful backdrop that our PTA provided. And then they will be on their way. And then the next 7 or 10 kids will come up. So for us, the ceremony might last 2.5 hours. But for the parents, it'll be a lot less time. Yes.
Eric, if I was Eric or Deb, I'd recommend that both of you, in the letter you send out to the parents, with the time frame, that we're going to hit the time frame very closely. A lot of parents like showing up earlier or later than their actual time. We have no staging area. We just, right?
Well, we'll have the staging area. We'll be able to fit a number of cars, Pat, in the new parking lot. They have assured us that the new parking lot on School Street will be complete by that time. So we will have our security officers, our school security guards, as well as staff there. And we'll be talking to the East Hampton Town Police to see if they can minimize the traffic that's going up and down School Street for the time period.
I'm just worried about, because some parents do like to show up early. And if they're too early, they could be in the way of the students that are graduating.
We know. That's where the East Hampton Town Police will help us. That's what I'm hoping.
You might want to set up a staging area like where the general store is, or someplace where people can come get there early, to make sure that they don't get too anxious.
Yes.
We've got a lot of staff that will be there as well. So we plan on having the staff across the front, social distancing, but having the staff, having signs. So
we'll be decorating the outdoor windows with congratulatory signs as well too. The building, I don't know if you had a chance to drive by, but we've already touched up and given it a really good cleaning. We'll do that again before the actual ceremony. The front area has been mulched. There's grass growing underneath that big tree that hasn't had grass since I've been there 15 years ago. I guess because kids aren't walking across it, and folks aren't walking across, it's growing a little bit. So we're hoping that the front of the building will look really, really nice with the new construction, the new parking lot. And our PTA has been really great. We'll order flowers like we always do. We'll have balloon arches. So we will really beautify it as best as we possibly can.
I can't wait to see it. You guys sound like you're planning an amazing occasion, and really
If
looking
you have
forward
an opportunity to work with our PTA president, she's Ashley's very good at this stuff. So we're in good hands with her.
So in terms of parents getting photos with their children, it would probably be something they have to do at home after the
Well,
fact.
we're thinking about too, maybe doing something at Pussy's Pond, to be honest with you. That will be a further conversation that we can have with the police department about thinking about how we can coordinate a specific section, maybe by the bridge, or set something up there where after parents get their diplomas with their students, they can, again, social distancing, of course, where they can pull up, take a picture as a family, or maybe on the front side. But for that, we want to make sure that the streets are closed off somewhat, so we're limiting traffic up and down School Street, and it's not a fair way, for folks to drive by and disrupt the ceremony or what have you.
Okay.
we plan to have a run through prior to that day, maybe, the week of, as soon as that fence comes down, that Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever it is, and have an actual run through. Bring in our security guards ahead of time, talk to the police department, have them there so that it's not haphazard, but it's actually, we do a trial run.
Yeah, our goal tomorrow after we meet with our PTA and finalize everything as far as awards and what the kids are getting and little goodie bags and what have you, we'll contact the East Hampton Police Department. As I said, they've already reached out and said, whatever you need, please feel free to contact us. But I didn't want to do that until we have something concrete in place, and then I could tell them what our plan is.
Is there any way, Eric, you guys have talked about maybe a celebrity guest coming to graduate?
We asked one of our substitute teachers' brother plays for the New Orleans Saints. He's already visited our school and talked about character ed. We're trying to see if we can get him to maybe do a guest spot. Even if we can record it and then post it as part of the graduation ceremony online and on our website.
That'd be awesome.
We're trying our best.
How about maybe Adam Fine welcoming students to the high school as part of
We
it?
can ask Adam, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good idea. Yep, John does the video for the 8th graders, so that's where we're thinking about.
Yeah, they made him be the new principal. It'd be great for him to welcome our students as the new principal to the East Hampton High School, that he would either be there or maybe do a video and say, hey, guys, welcome.
Well, Tim, like I'm going to do my little speech that I always do. So maybe I can ask him to do a little something and we'll send it over to Mr. Gibbons and John will put his magic together and we'll say goodbye from me and hello from them.
Wouldn't that be great? That transition then, that would be,
very nice.
Yeah.
This might be a new tradition, Tim.
There you go.
Any questions regarding graduation? Any other questions?
Sounds great, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. We look forward to, like I said, it's not what we would normally do, but we're going to try to make it as amazing for the kids as possible. They deserve it.
They do, and it sounds a lot better than I think what anybody was thinking was going to happen when we first heard that everything was canceled, and everybody's going to pull it out of a hat and it's going to be great. So really appreciate that.
We have lots of congratulations to go around. Out of our board members, what is it, 4 of you have graduates this year?
Yeah.
So congratulations to all of you for your graduates.
Yeah, thanks. Woo.
Now the college bills. What was that?
Dave and I'll keep them coming through springs,
I'll have to say, Deb, on that note, that sitting and listening to the East Hampton Awards ceremony the other night, the number of Springs graduates that received scholarships was really an amazing number. And, it just is reflective of the kinds of students that we send to East Hampton High School every single year. So we have a lot to be proud of in our graduates at East Hampton High School. And I believe they received the vast majority of scholarships out of the ones that were given. So I thought that was amazing.
That's great. Okay. What else do we have to cover here? Because we've gone off.
Summer program. Just Kerry for students with disabilities, and then Eric for E&L. Those are the 2 programs we'll be running for the summer.
Okay. So if you guys want to.
Sure, I'll go first. Hi, everyone. Thanks again. So we are in the process of figuring out how do we engage our students with special education over the internet and Google Meet and all of that this summer. So like we said before, we do have quite a few teachers interested in teaching summer school for special ed as well as ENL. And we will be meeting to go over what can we do to kind of jazz it up and engage the students even more. Our special ed teachers have been doing a phenomenal job already, working with parents as well as the students to make sure that their needs are being met to the best of our capability during this hard time. We know that being home with your child is difficult, and being home with a child that has special needs is a little bit more difficult, especially if you're trying to work from home. So our teachers have been really flexible, as well as our service providers and our teaching assistants. So we're hoping to work with the parents to see what their needs are for the summer, as well as the students, and come up with some kind of engaging program, maybe some virtual field trips, some Google Meets where the kids are working on similar projects. So I have a meeting at the end of this week with the team, and hopefully I'll keep you posted on the 15th what that's going to entail.
Okay, and our E&L program, as Deb mentioned earlier, it is funded through the federal ESSA grant. We have an opportunity to fund a number of students. We're targeting our emerging level. So as of this last week, we have identified 61 students. Thank you to our E&L teachers who helped us do that. We have already sent out letters. I believe we received already about 5 or 6 responses for our E&L program. We will have 3 sections: a K-2 section, a 3 through 5 section, and a 6 through 8 section. Each of the teachers will be planning thematic units, and they will target their instruction for language acquisition, specifically in the area of reading and writing. So we're excited about that. This is the typical Jumpstart program that we normally host here at Spring School, but this year obviously will be virtual because of the fact that schools are closed. But we're happy that our E&L teachers will be working with that. They know the students best. They know the areas that the students need to work on. And again, following the same type of format, we're going to be looking at some type of virtual field trips. We want to make it a really fun opportunity for kids while also learning. So we're excited that we'll be able to run both programs this year, a little bit differently, of course, but we're happy that folks are interested in participating. So.
Eric, I'm just curious as to how the E&L program has been running now while school's closed. Are they having any extra difficulties, or how is that going for them compared to non-E&L students?
They are checking in with their students just like they normally would. Going back to when this whole thing began in March, our mental health staff has been really amazing. Teachers have reached out to us, whether it was classroom teachers, content area teachers, support area teachers like E&L teachers. We then divided and conquered with our 4 mental health staff. They each took a group of students. They've made contact. They continue to make contact. We check in with those students just like we were checking with them back in March. We're checking with them now. As I mentioned, I think at the last board meeting or the meeting prior to that, we have about 80 to 85 students 85% of our students were consistently working and completing their assignments. As this continued, that tailed off a little bit, as you know. It's a little bit more difficult to keep them engaged. Our goal will be for the last week of school to really ramp up the opportunity to participate in that green and white challenge, virtual challenge. So we really give kids an opportunity to really focus not only their content areas, but also their special area too, because that's how kids are collecting points, by completing assignments, not just for their classroom teachers, but also for their special area teachers. So, as I mentioned earlier, we are very, very proud of the work that our teachers have done. We did not go out and purchase a canned program and put it out there and said, okay, 40 minutes of this and 20 minutes of this and 60 minutes of this program. Everything was created by our teachers, for teachers, with the kids' best interests in mind, with their social and emotional well-being in mind. And I have to tell you, as principal, we got off, it was difficult, rocky for everybody in the beginning, but once we got our groove on, our teachers really did an amazing job, and I'm really, really proud of them. I can't say that enough.
Thanks, Eric. No, I know everybody's really been working very hard on this, and I'm happy that everyone's happy with the results and that our kids are doing, as well as they can with this. So, yeah. Does anybody have any other questions at this time? And Julie, we had any other questions in from the audience? If anyone's watching?
No, not at this time. I have nothing else. Christine Sampson did email me and tell me she's going to get in touch. She had to sign off for tonight, but she's going to get in touch with me tomorrow. And if there's anything else that went on during the meeting that's important for her to put in her update, I'll give that to her tomorrow.
Okay.
So I'll touch base with Deb in the morning, and if there's something she wants Christine to add to her update, then we'll do that.
Deb, what was the dates that you can put your ballot in the back of the school in the box?
Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays from 9 to 2.
And where is it located exactly for parents and citizens?
Right on the trailer landing, the steps, right outside the trailer. And the trailer is across from the gym. So if you go out to Ed Hope, go through the school at Ed Hope Lane, you're going to have to turn around to go back out, because you can't go back out at Hope Lane to School Street. But you can pull right up to the trailer, drop it off on the box.
It's the door on the
left-hand landing.
The door on the left.
The day of the budget vote, That box will be out there from 9 to 5, the entire day.
Okay, and are those the days that it's there, is it on the website?
Yes, and it's also in the newsletter.
Okay.
Okay. If there aren't any other questions at this time, do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yes.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Don't
Great.
forget the other meeting.
Oh, yes, and now we need to open the a regular meeting. So do I have a motion to open the regular board meeting?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I don't know that Julie technically needs to do roll call again.
No, I don't. We can continue on because it says in the other meeting that we're going to continue into a regular meeting with only one agenda item. So we don't have to do roll call again.
Is that in board docs?
Yes, it is. It's also on the same date. It says regular meeting, and there is a resolution there.
Julie, does the resolution have to be read?
Oh, I was thinking I had to like sign in to get into the admin. Now I've ended up out of it. Hold on, I got to get back into board docs. Sorry. Oh, there we go.
Barbara, you need
The board meeting?
Hold on. Now I'm not in there and I can't get the stuff for the meeting. Sorry for the with the.
All right, you want me to
You know
read
what?
the
That would be great.
resolution,
Thank
Barbara?
you.
I said, do you want me to read it, or do you want
One of
Deb
you,
to read
that's
it?
fine.
All right, Julie.
Either one.
Whereas the Board of Education of the Springs Union Free School District approved a school calendar for the 2019-20 school year on February 4th, 2019, and whereas Governor Cuomo, by means of executive orders 202.4, 202.11, 202.14, 202.18, and 202.28, closed schools for in-person instruction, but required districts to implement distance learning plan during the COVID-19 pandemic. And whereas the executive orders also required the school district to provide instruction during spring recess and other days schools were to be closed, and whereas the school district provided instruction to students during these periods, and whereas the school calendar for the 2019-20 must be modified to reflect the days that the school was in session pursuant to the executive orders 2002.4, 202, 202.11, 202.18, 202.28. Now, it be resolved that the Board of Education of the Springs Union Free School District modifies the school calendar for the 2019-20 school year as attached to this resolution. Be it further resolved that the Board of Education of the Springs Union Free School District modifies the end date of all leagues previously approved by the Board of Education to end on June 26, 2020 to June 18, 2020, the revised end date of the 2019-20 school year.
Great, thanks, Deb. Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. And I see we also have public commentary listed in for this meeting as well. So Julie, is there anything, anyone reaching out about public commentary for this?
No, I don't have anything else. No.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So school will officially be over on June 18th. And on that note, do I have a motion to adjourn the regular meeting?
Motion.
Motion.
Second?
Second.
Sorry. Okay,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, great. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you at the next meeting.
We're gonna see everybody on June 9th. Barbara,
June 9th. Yeah.
do you want to get remotely after the ballots are counted, or do you want to set a date and time on the 10th?
Yeah. Deb, I'll talk to you in the morning about that.
Okay.
Okay.
That ballot counting could end up going rather late since it's all being
Yeah,
starting by
I
hand.
don't foresee us having an issue where we're starting at 5 o'clock. So
Right.
I think we'll be fine with the amount of people and help that I have.
Okay.
But as far as setting a time for the board to adopt the budget, I'll speak with Deb tomorrow and we'll get a hold of the board as a whole and we'll decide if we want to do it that night or the following morning. So
Right.
I'll talk to Deb and find out from council exactly what we have to do. Because I know with some of the bigger districts, they're going to count up until a certain time that night and then start again the next day. But I really don't foresee us having to do that. So I'll speak to council tomorrow and Deb and I will reach out to the board and see what you guys decide to do.
Okay, so if we did actually need to do it the next day, what would be a convenient time for everybody? On a Wednesday?
Whenever.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Okay. Amy, I know you're,
Because it's going to be streamed anyway, so it's not going to be a lot, people don't have to come to school. It'll be a
Right.
streamed meeting like we're doing now,
so, okay.
Yeah. So just give me a heads up on the time.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I mean, we'll know honestly. Everything is going to be live as we're counting. So if it's really if it's starting at 5, I don't foresee us going past 9, to be honest with you. I have
Okay.
enough help that I think that we'll be able to get through it at that point. So, we'll kind of let the board know throughout, maybe halfway through, whether we foresee it being at the end of the evening or the next day.
So we would post it if it was, do we need to post this though?
Yeah, I'm going to speak to council tomorrow because I think some of the school districts are in the same situation where they have no idea what's going to happen.
Right.
So I'll speak to
Barbara,
council and find out exactly what we have to do.
I already checked with council. We do not have to post that meeting.
Okay,
okay,
that's fine.
great.
Yeah, because I know some school districts are anticipating a 3-day count. So
Oh, whoa. Okay.
yeah, so I really foresee that we'll be done by that evening. So I'll keep you posted.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Julie.
Yep.
All right, thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you, Barbara.
You too. Have a good evening.
Where do I go?
Thanks, John.